Hello, and welcome to Real Actors, Real Answers, the podcast where you are the star. Today, I am so excited about introducing to you a voiceover artist, among other wonderful great things that he's done, Adrian Silas from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I would just want to introduce you to him. We're going to learn a lot about voiceovers and a lot of other things that he has been through in life. Adrian Silas, or Silas, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
Good. I deeply appreciate your time because I know we're like 6-hour difference and everything else. So,
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about yourself. That you've been a physical therapist, you're a producer for music, a sound engineer, which probably helps you in voiceovers, and you have a phenomenal voice. You really do. Ear catching.
Thanks. I grew up in a small little, can I call it a small province, called the Eastern Cape. It's the eastern part of South Africa. That's where I went to school. I started with music production in 2007, it must have been. It was around about the same time I finished with high school. And I went on to university and I was doing things parallel. I would go to lectures during the day, and then during the evenings, I would just be tinkering around with the software and just trying to wrap my head around it. I had a couple of friends as well who were just dabbling, it's how it usually is with musicians. And then at some point, when did I graduate? 2011, I graduated. That's when I moved over to Johannesburg in 2012. And that's when I started practicing as a physical therapist. We call it physiotherapy this side. That's sort of when I started to take music more seriously. I was earning a little bit of money, so then I was able to invest in gear. I was able to learn, do a couple of courses, but for the most part, it was all just trial and error. Things really started to pick up on the music side in 2015. That is when I managed to rent out a small little space, and that's where I started recording people. And yeah, just slowly but surely built it up from there up until this point where I am now. Got a little studio where I do all of that. With the voiceover work, that's been running for about 5 years now. I've just been dabbling. It was funny. When I started out, I'd actually tried to sign up to what do they call these? Like a talent agency. I was trying to do everything. I was trying to model. I was trying to, and then they said, why don't you just send us a sample through? And I was like, I don't have a sample. And I had the equipment, which was great. And I was able to record myself clearly. So I got a couple of scripts together. I just read whatever I saw, and I sent that stuff through. That sat in their sound banks. They didn't really do anything with it. And yeah, over the past, I think it must have been 7 months, I've been doing it more consistently.
It sounds like it just didn't happen. And when I say that, I'm talking about, I just want it now, which is, understandable if you have a passion for it, and music and sound engineering and voiceovers. However, what I'm hearing from you is you lived a real life. It was 2011, you graduated, and then 2015, it started to pick up. So in the midst of that section of your lifetime, you had to be tenacious. You had to be determined and focused.
Very much so. It was ridiculous. I mean, there were so many times where my friends would be like, oh, are you still doing that music thing? Are you still, and I'm like, yes, I'm still doing it. Trying not to strangle them. But yeah, I mean, along the way, there were small little wins here and there, and those are always great. But for the most part, it was a major struggle.
Yeah, I would imagine, but it's a struggle that makes us stronger. It's the truth, exactly. Whether you like it or not. If you're going to do something like this in this entertainment industry, actually, it's a communication industry, you're going to have to not be shy, push through the learning curves. I don't like to call them mistakes as a coach and as an actor. It's like, okay, what did I learn from this? What did I gain from this? Not like, oh, I messed up. No, you didn't. Actually, you learned something. Step back and, look at the whole picture. One thing I want to ask you, how did you decide on narrations and audios and commercial and e-commerce? Why didn't you go in the direction of animated cartoons or video games?
Right. So I started out on some freelancing platforms. There was one of my friends came by the studio one of the days, and he said, you should really try get onto one of these freelancing platforms. You'd be great. Do your sound engineering there, and everything will work out. So I signed up to one of these platforms. I started out with Upwork and Fiverr, and I placed my my demos on there, and slowly I got a couple of inquiries here and there, nothing too serious, but it was funny. It was leaning more towards, I wanted it to lean more towards the music production. That's what I was really comfortable doing. And that's the time. Those were the parts of my profile that I put time into. Whereas the voiceover was kind of just I can do it. Let me just take those. I took those very same samples that I'd done years prior, and I placed those there. And I got more attention on the voiceover samples than I did on my music production. So I was like, let's go with it. I started doing a couple. I did do I think there were maybe 1 or 2 video games that I voiced a character or two. There was a lot of just random adverts where, I had to be really bold and really out there. But the stuff that I tended to attract was more so the corporate stuff and the e-learning and that type of narration. That's sort of, so it's sort of, it found me, I'd say, more than me looking for it.
That's so archetypal what you just said, and it's so relatable. Success happens when we're making other plans. Yeah. You try this and you do this and do that, and then someone comes along, hey, wait a minute, why don't you try this? I call it like providence or epiphany. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do, and it's I'll tell you what, I really enjoy listening to your voice. I mean, I went on your website and I listened to even the thing about polio vaccine. Your ability, and I understand because you were a physical therapist, okay, so you have a heart for that, but your ability to take something, and pardon me, okay, unless we're not really interested in something, it's boring, okay? But when you're talking about polio vaccine or something very medical, which, I get, I'm very much of a novice in that, but you make it interesting because how you rest upon a certain word and how you enunciate the consonants, and just give enough for the vowels to make it very clear. You have a very concise, what part of, you're in Johannesburg, but where were you born in Africa?
So I was born in Lesotho, which is landlocked by South Africa. I was there, but I was there for maybe 2 months, and then from there we moved into South Africa. It was 1989 that happened. Okay. So it's still within apartheid. So it was very, very difficult for us to move around. My parents, the moment they moved into South Africa, they had to go straight into the homelands where all the Black people were kept. And they were trying to run away. They was escaping Idi Amin and everything that was happening there. So they were kind of going from something that was terrible into something that was not so good. And yeah, that's basically where I grew up, in the eastern part of South Africa. And yeah, I've spent time on the, can I call it the western side as well? That is in a small city, well, in a big city called Cape Town. And then from there, now in Johannesburg.
The reason why I ask and familiarize me, I don't know everything. I know some things like everybody does. What is your primary language? Because I know there's a lot of languages there and they're all kind of mixed up.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just haven't mixed up in those languages. So in South Africa, we have 11 official. It's ridiculous. We have 11 official languages. Okay. Some of them do sound similar to some of the others. I can hear most of them. I just don't speak any of them willingly. My parents are from Uganda. So they, growing up, I would hear a lot of our language is called Luganda. It's just Uganda with an L before it. So I'd hear a lot of that growing up. And I had quite a thick Lugandan accent. until I started going to school. And it sort of just, I sort of took on whatever it was that I was hearing. I started to sound very different from them. I don't speak any of the other languages. English is my primary
Okay.
language, which is, it's very, very weird for a South African to say that.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I've always found where you live absolutely fascinating. You know, I have some friends over there through my mastermind course and for actors, and I love to meet new people, especially from different countries, because you can always learn more. God's the divine artist; He created everybody. You know, yeah. Because I've been working on very, like I said, listening to your voice. I am fascinated by voices. Okay, at voiceovers, and you have a very professional. I probably am repeating myself now, but you have a very professional, succinct, and understandable and compassionate voice, depending on the subject matter, of course.
Yeah.
And you've been only doing this for 5 years.
And on and off for 5 years. I
Okay.
haven't had any. I wanted to try and get some professional training done, just because I remember with my initial samples that I did, I knew that I knew that they were okay. I knew that they weren't horrible, but I didn't know what I was getting wrong. I only really picked that up when I started doing work on these freelancing platforms for clients, and they would come back to me and say, actually, can you do a little bit of that? Can you change that a little bit? Then I learned, I was like, oh, actually, this is where I'm struggling a bit. So it's kind of been one of those just learn on the fly sort of situations.
Sometimes because you're catering to clients, businesses, people that want to hear something, and then sound in this business is everything, believe it or not. You wouldn't think so. You know, a poorly done movie with great sound goes a lot further than one that's, you can't really, you know, it's the sound is bad. It's like, oh, this is bad. So you've been freelancing. Am I getting this right?
Pretty much, yeah.
You have this, I tell you what, determination. What kind of platforms do you look on? You know, because there's a lot of voiceover people out there that they're kind of lost.
Spend a lot of time on Upwork and Fiverr. Those tend to be I know some people really don't like them. I just found that was my entry point. And what I did is I just spent a lot of time. I went onto YouTube and I just must have been 100 videos. And I just watched them, good and bad, of people's experiences with the platforms, what they've done, how the whole earning process goes. I was like, let me try it out. So that was, must have been in May last year that I was just dabbling. And then I remember I went to visit family in Kenya. I came back, sort of forgot about it for a while. Then I picked back up. And then when I started to see more and more work coming in, I started shifting to other platforms. So I had to go and dust off my LinkedIn profile. Freelancer.com is another one. Voices, I think it's called voices.com as well.
Yes,
So
voices.com.
I've just been trying to, I just type in voiceover, what's it, voiceover artist, and I just sign up. I just signed up to everything. I've just been waiting for work it's just been trickling in. There have been one or two people that have seen my my Instagram profile. It's quite new, maybe a month or two old. They saw the videos that I'd done for people that I'd reposted onto the Instagram page. And that's, strange enough, now I was also starting to pick up, getting a couple of inquiries from there as well.
Now, did you hear that, everybody? Silas went on YouTube. People don't understand. Some of them do. Oh, I don't have the money for this and that, which I understand. Okay, money is a tool like a hammer and saw. You build different things with it, okay? And I get that. However, if you want an education, Silas went on YouTube, watched 100 or so videos, not little cats and puppies, and he focused on specifically what he wanted to learn. Yeah, and I don't know if you know this or not. I just recently learned it from a gentleman called Sean. His name is Sean Cannell. He teaches how to build a successful YouTube channel. He said something. He said, "Do you know the second biggest search engine? The first one is Google. Do you know what the second one is?" And I didn't have a clue. And I'm just listening to him. He goes, "It's YouTube." I go, "It's a search engine?" I guess it is, because you're searching. You know, social media is Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and all those other things, you know. But that's a search engine. And if it's done right, you can actually earn money through YouTube. What current projects are you working on now?
in the voiceover space. Yeah. So I've been fortunate enough to get some can I call it recurring work. I've got a few, I think I've got three YouTubers. One who runs a psychology channel. It's got quite a lot of viewers. It's like 41,000 odd. So it's fairly long. It's maybe 1,500 word voiceovers each week. There's two of them that I do each week consistently for them. There is another one who focuses on economy. So from time to time, whenever there's like an economic event, or the price of something goes up or goes down, they'll quickly send me a script to do. And then the last one that's quite consistent is a YouTuber by the name of Desmond Dennis. I was doing African. So I've gotten, I sort of imitate what a South African sounds like, kind of mixed with what my parents sounded like, which is a typical Ugandan accent, to like create this character. I didn't think so. It's a job that I put. It's a profile. It's part of my profile that I posted up. And this guy was like, "This is gonna be perfect for my YouTube channel." So I did a couple for him, not thinking he was serious at all. And then one of the days I typed his name in on YouTube and I saw that he had 8 million subscribers. I was like, what? What?
Wow, that's a lot.
No way. Yeah, so I went and I had a look. I was like, there's my voice right there. I mean, I'm narrating the story. It's got nothing to do with me, but it was just so funny to watch. It's like, oh my gosh, so many people are listening to this right now. And it's funny, that was one of the times I got a little bit of felt like a bit of an imposter. I was like, you shouldn't be here. You haven't been doing this long enough. You've been trained. How did you pull this off? How did you hustle and get to this point? So I had to talk myself, set myself straight and say, you are actually decent. And yeah.
So you didn't stop there. You analyzed, why am I feeling this way? This, as they call nowadays, imposter syndrome, which is basically just, I'm afraid and I don't know if I can handle this. A lot of people don't do that. And so the nest, the birds build a nest in your head, but you didn't allow that. It can happen at any time with this business.
I was going to say, I think what helped is that it happened in the music space as well. It happened to me about a decade ago, where I started getting large projects. Large South African artists were asking me to do their work for them. And I had it was that same feeling. So I kind of had muscle memory to know that, hey, actually, you are good enough. Just keep at it.
Absolutely. You push beyond those feelings. I don't know why they come, honestly. Maybe it's someone said something in your past that you don't remember, but it's still sitting there festering. I don't know. I'd give you 2 thumbs up for that, because it's a big hurdle. You mentioned platforms. I have one. I was just struggling here while we're listening to you. Have you ever heard of Casting Call Club? It's castingcall.club. Have you ever heard of that? No,
I haven't.
One of my students is getting different auditions and work with that. So you might want to look that up. Castingcall.club instead of .com or .net. It's .club. I'm going to use the word. It has starving artists there, and they have projects there. Some of them pay, some of them don't, but you don't know where that is going to go. And experience teaches you, and experience eventually pays, as you've known yourself, obviously. And you have I read in your website, you have your own studio too. Is that where you're at right now?
Oh, no. So I do have a studio. I'm at home at the moment. So
Okay.
I bounce between the two places. So this is one of the spare bedrooms in the house. And I get any sort of, quick jobs done here. And if I can't necessarily get to the studio, then I'll just work from here. The studio is about 20 minutes away. It's been treated, not all the way professionally, but it's soundproofed enough to have everything sound professional. And that is basically where I record all my artists. There have been voiceover artists that have come through as well, but mostly singers, rappers, people trying to start their careers off, looking for a solution that is an environment that is not so studio-y, with a big desk and, 3 people hovering over you. So that's that's the sort of environment that I provide. Just a very comfortable. It's not a massive, it's not a big space, but yeah, it's comfortable and does the job.
That's very smart. Good business
Mhm.
head. You know, you rent out the space. Plus having, I have currently I have three voiceover actors that I work with. Okay, students, voiceover students, and they literally have taken their closet and transformed it. Yeah, you're shaking your head. And they
Yeah.
have the foam on the wall, and then the only really expensive, which is necessary, is the microphone. You know, and the
Yeah.
software. But other than that, it's not that expensive to put things together. Which brings me to this question: what type of microphone do you use?
Okay, so it's actually the one I'm speaking into right now. I have a Warm Audio 512. I also use a Audio Technica, the 8020, 80 2020. So I bounce between the two here when I'm at home, and then when I'm at the studio, I have an SE Electronics 2200, which is yeah, it's a lot
Nice.
a lot better than these ones.
Yeah, I read the, again, I got to say, this man that I'm going to interview today has a studio that is so cool, you know. Um, now, what did you develop this studio over the past 5 years as well?
So the studio's been this at its current venue's been there since 2001. It was in
Oh,
2001. The only reason I had that space before, the spaces that I had were very just, they were very small, very not so weren't so serious. But when COVID happened, I started taking clients at home. And at the time I was living with my parents, and that's just a health risk. I was literally just who knows like what I was bringing in through the door each
yeah.
day. So I stopped taking clients, and obviously stopped taking clients, you don't make money. So I tried to look for a space to rent out just so I could have a space for people to come to. I found a couple of co-working spaces. The issue with those ones was that the rent was cheap, but the issue was that they had hardwood. I don't know what the walls were made out of. I think it was wood. I'd always walk in and knock, and I'd be like, I can't work here. If there's an accountant next door, I'm going to irritate him. So I looked around and I managed to find a space where they were okay with a little bit of noise, but they had really thick, solid brick walls, with like a nicely finished screed floor. All I needed to do is to bring someone in to do a partition. And yeah, that partition with the door then became the booth. And I just managed to place a couple of, I've got panels in there and soundproofing, and that is how that shaped up.
What was the most exciting so far? Because life is a journey. What was the most exciting thing you've ever experienced in voiceovers up till now? Project, audition, someone
I
cheered you on. I don't know. You tell
Yeah,
me.
I think exciting, like I can say out of the ordinary was the video game that I did, an NPC, a non-playing character, that I played, right? And this person is basically a trainer or a guide for the main character, and I was basically imparting wisdom to this young character. So in amongst all of these like words of wisdom, I also had to spar with the character. So I had to make all of these like, action based noises, as though we were fighting. So that was pretty cool. That was something out of the ordinary.
That's fun. And you're
Mm.
immortalized. You know, what game
Mm.
was it?
I was not told.
Oh,
I do not remember.
okay.
I cannot remember. Actually, I don't. I think the game was still in development.
Okay.
But yeah, for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it.
Maybe down the line, one day you run across it. Wait a minute, I know that voice. That's me. You know,
Yeah,
what was the most challenging part of this business that you've encountered?
I would say, and it's still something that I'm battling with now at the moment. Is I think in terms of getting in the door, in terms of starting to get clients, I've done that. I think my issue now is because of the route in that I chose, going to these freelancing platforms, sort of bottom of the people view it almost like the bottom of the barrel, very cheap client, very, very cheap clients who want to come through and pay like $5 and they want you to do like 5,000 word script. So I'm challenged on a daily basis by people who will come through and be like, oh, great voice, great, they'll butter me up, great voice, everything's amazing. And then they'll ask for work and I'll be like, how are we going to sort out payment? And then that's when I hear that I'm like, this is ridiculous. So yeah, so it has gotten a lot better, I think, with building yourself up on these platforms, much like with any other platform. You build yourself up, you get a bit of credibility, and you hope and pray that doesn't happen as much.
They want something of quality for little quantity, monetarily speaking. There's one, and I'm struggling right now. Okay, this is live. For a certain speaker who's also an author and a lot of other things. I can't think of his name. That's not going to stop me from telling you, though. Once I find out, I'm going to contact you and tell you. But my point is that when he started out doing his public speaking, he would charge $500 to $800 at a speaking engagement. His agent told him, I'm having a lot of trouble with my, getting clients, getting people that want to hear what I have to say. You have to raise your price. Yeah, but no one will listen to me. He said, no, trust me, I'm your agent. Raise your price. Well, what should I do? Well, to start off with, $2,500. And hit the floor. It's like, what? He was afraid to do that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When you go to, and this is all subconscious, okay, because you're an influencer. You don't sell. You're an influencer. You influence people with your voice and your cadence and the eloquence of your voice. That's what it is. You have eloquence in your voice. Eloquence and intelligence, okay? And it draws people in. And they don't even, whoa, I can trust this person. They don't know who you are. But there's something about him that, hey, we have to do this. We have to go get this polio vaccine. We have to do something. Once he raised his price, people have a natural tendency, oh, this guy must be good. This girl must be good because look at the price they charge. Now, of course, you have to have some experience backing it up. But there's something about where you have something of quality, you raise the price and you'll actually attract more people. It's the way it works. I was shocked. I listened to his audiobook because you do audio narrations too, correct? Yeah, and that's what he said. What kind of audio narrations have you done? I love that.
So there is a book. What's the name of this book? I've forgotten the name of the book. But it was it was weird. It was very interesting the way that the author wanted to do it. It said that there'll be two readers, and the story will be told from from two different sides, and one male and a female. So I didn't read through the entire book. Actually, I found it a bit confusing. There were parts where the male was not present in the room, or even in the space. And that's where the female would then do the voiceover. And then when it was the male telling his side of the story, or they were following the male around, that's when I would tell my part of the story. So it was quite interesting. It was like not a post-apocalyptic, but it was very like sci-fi.
So a post-apocalyptic sci-fi, that's a lot of emotion. What was the context? What was the subject matter of, was it the zombie apocalypse or what was it?
No, it was so I was part of a race from Africa. Okay. I forgot where. I think it was East African. That's actually why they chose me. So I dipped in between the different accents. And we had these like almost like psychic abilities, and we had these physical abilities. We're really quick, really fast, really strong, all of that. And they were basically, we were hunting down, or we were trying to track down another species or another race, and we had found someone, but it was kind of set in present day, but there were elements about it that were magical, and we do certain things. I remember there's this fight scene where the other main character sort of hit back at me, and I was fighting with them. But it was set in present day. Yeah, there was a lot a lot going on.
And that's all imagination. I mean, you have to take what you see, put your imagination to it, and make it sound like it's actually happening. I would imagine, now, silly question, but not. Were you standing or sitting when you did this recording?
Initially, I sat.
Okay.
It didn't
And then,
work. It didn't work. I had to stand. Like I was all over the place, and it's the only way. It's the only way I was able to actually get into it, get drawn in. It even got to a point where I'd read something and be like, "Oh snap, that's what happens next," and then I'd get excited to like act it out. So
right.
yeah.
So you moved your body, which helped you
Definitely.
emote, and
Exactly.
give it a charge is what it, your character. Yeah, because some people, and I tell them very quickly, in voiceovers, it is acting. Oh, most definitely it's acting. The only difference, they can't see you. They can hear you and listen.
Yeah.
Other than that, as far as your acting is concerned, more than likely, you need to stand up. You need that energy to flow through you. I like to say the word emotion is E-motion, energy in motion. So you have to produce something in order to, I don't know, breathe truth into the script, I guess.
And they can hear it. The people listening on the other side can hear if you've been sitting down. I remember there was a day I was feeling quite lazy, and I did do a voiceover sitting down, and the person that I sent the work to was like, "Do it again, but this time stand up." I was shocked. I was like, "Oh snap!"
Wow. Okay.
You could hear it. Yeah. So
you can
I
hear
get what you're
people
saying.
sitting down.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit, as I always do with people, but I'm going to borrow that. Okay. I can hear you sitting down. How do you know? I'm psychic. I'm psychotic. No, no, that's, are there any particular exercises that you do each day, warm yourself up before you actually do an audition or do a piece?
So I don't do anything like standard. I do know that if I do get work, what I'll do is I'll definitely give it one read. I try not to read it too much because then I think too much about what it is that I'm saying. And the one benefit for with me being a sound engineer and having that production experience is that even if I make 100 mistakes, I can very quickly just chop and clean it up very, very quickly. So in terms of prep, there isn't that much that I'll do. I will try and save my voice. I don't know. I feel like I have my voice battery is very low. If that's even a thing. I'm the kind of person that if I speak a lot, I lose my voice. Like if I speak at a very, very high volume, I'll lose my voice. So if I know that I am going to be doing work, I'll generally be quiet. And then the other thing I try and do is I make sure I've noticed that the time of day really does matter. So I'll try and make sure that if I can, I get the voiceover done in the morning, because that is when I have a little bit more vocal range. My voice starts out a little bit deeper, and then I'm able to send it right to where I need to go. So I can fluctuate a lot more, as opposed to if it's like 11 p.m. and I'm rushing to get a job done, my vocal range is very low. If I go too low, it really starts to crack. And if I go too high, then I sound like a teenager.
That's very interesting. I love the fact that you're very conscious of your instrument, because that's what it is, your voice and your body, of course. To know when because some people are morning people, other people are night people, but you base it upon, okay, where do I have the most energy, the most vibrancy, the most alertness, because if you're tired, it's gonna be evident in your voice. Your breathing even will be labored and things. And if you have too much breathing in here, you're gonna sound like you're in a horror movie. It's a very good thing for people to remember. Your voice, you need to take care of your voice. If you're a voiceover artist, if you're an actor, yes, but especially if you're a voiceover artist, because people can't see you in order to judge whether the character is coming across or not. How do people find you on the internet? They need a voiceover artist.
So they can go to my website, which is voiceoversbysilas.com. www.voiceoversbysilas.com. But generally, I am Silas Beats. That's the name I use for my music production. I'm Silas Beats on every platform. Whenever there's a new platform that comes out, I'll just go open up an account. Even if I don't use it, I'll just go open up an account and just leave it. So Silas Beats everywhere.
That's smart. I like that. I'm going to adopt that. Why be picky when there's millions of people out there? People say that things are saturated. Not by you. Oh, there's voiceover artists everywhere, David. Yeah, but they don't have your voice. It's like you have a unique voice just because you're you, let alone the training you've had. So you're going to stand out. So if you're going to stand out, let people know you're standing out. I like that. Are you on Facebook too?
I am. Also,
under the same name?
Under the same name, Silas Beats. Otherwise, Voiceovers by Silas. That one is very new though. Very, 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 very new. I don't think I have that many, probably got less than 10 people that have seen that page. But yeah, it's all stuff that I'm trying to build upon, because I know that if I can get a couple of people on there, then should slowly but surely bring in a few more interested people.
Absolutely. You know, I've heard getting names today. He was my friend though. We've lost touch. But he said in a Texan accent, he goes, "It only takes one time. It only takes one time for the right people to get a hold of you. And then you skyrocket, you know." So you might say, I only have 10 people following me, or 20 or 50 or whatever. That's something, because they live and evolve and grow just like you do. And they're following some kind of dream. And if you are needed in the context of their lifespan, that's all you need is one person. Within those, who do you actually know? Who do you reach out to and really make a consolidated effort to really get to know and ask them sincerely about their work? Because networking is like this. "Hi, Silas, my name is David. How are you?" type of thing, you know. And then you get to know each other. That's called networking. We did that when we were kids, right? You move into a new neighborhood and you meet somebody, and you want to play? Sure. What do you want to do? I love simplicity. Yeah. Last question, very important. Who is in your court cheering you on? Who are the people out there that are supporting you in your endeavors?
My wife.
Sweet.
She is very supportive. I mean, she's very skeptical actually. To begin with, she'll say like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" And that'll then in turn make me ask myself questions like, "Why are you doing that? What's going on?" So I need that. I really do need that. It helps me keeps me like really well prepared. My parents, they are typical African parents. They're like on me, and they also ask the same questions like, why do you want that? Why do you want to do this? And again, it then forces me to try and figure out why I want to get it done. They are a little bit less forgiving though. They'll very quickly tell me, "Don't do that, don't do this, don't do that." But then what that does for me is that I will then go back, get it done, make sure I've got so I'll never bring them. I don't bring ideas to them because they'll get shot down. I'll bring them the product at maybe 40%, maybe 50%.
I love that.
I've been working on it. This is as far as I've gotten.
Sure.
How is it? And then from there, then they'll assist me. And
I like that. That's strategy. That's what that is. Yeah. Your why is big enough, and then you figure out how, but the how is dependent on who you're talking to now.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned your wife. Women, by and large, this is my opinion, but I'm sticking to it. Sometimes they see more than we do. We're like, me do this, ugh, and it's like, excuse me, I just want to support you in this, but tell me why. And then it's like, good question, humbling experience. You love me. I can tell because you tell me when I'm maybe doing something wrong, No, that's wonderful. I'm telling you, 80% of this business is who you know and who you surround yourself with. Because if you surround yourself with people that don't support you, it's going to take the life out of your work. Listen, Silas, I'm so glad it took us a while to get together, but I deeply appreciate your wisdom and knowledge and everything that you do. And thank you for being on Real Actors, Real Answers.
Thanks for having me on. It was a great experience.
Yeah, for me too. Thank you. Enjoy your day, and keep that voice in tune. Okay.
We'll do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you.